choose the sword, and you will join me. Choose the ball, and you join your mother in death. You don't understand my words, but you must choose.
Truth is our dogma. We believe it to be man's greatest weapon against the devil, who is
House of the Redeemed Servant. Kwam Yashala, giving all praise to the Abanawa Yahweh Shimon Mashiach Yahushua. Jeremiah, please say the Yah. It's the Passover, let it boil over. Fresh shit in Folgers, fringes, borders of blue. It's the Passover, let it boil over. Fresh shit in Folgers, fringes, borders of blue. It's the Passover.
This text, so I'm gonna read it to you. It says this: the works of Filio, and let every separate individual say the same thing. He's speaking of the feast days. Not with the voice which proceeds from his tongue in his mouth, extending only through the scanty portion of the air, but with the widespreading voice of the mind, which reaches to the very extremities of this universe. So he's talking about, when we say Coxman, when we say joyful feast, we're talking about the rejoicing we have. Not just with our mouth. Oh man, what's happening to the feast, but in your mind. Because the Most High sees that. This is the mindset we must have in this hour. These are the feast days. We are captive.
The book of Zephaniah, chapter 3 and verse 17. Yahweh our Elohim in the midst of you is mighty. He will save. He will rejoice over you with joy. Verse 19. Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict you, and I will save her that halted, and gather her that was driven out, and I will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame.
You can stop right there. So, reading that precept right there, Zephaniah 17 to 20, well, 17 to 19. He said, I'm going to gather those who are sorrowful for the solemn assembly. We're not like the world. We don't just celebrate days. We think about these things. We meditate on these things. So, the first thing I want to do right now, it's going to be kind of out of the ordinary, but I'm doing it anyway, sorry. I want everybody to give each other the shalom and a hug right now. Doing days of the Feast of Living. Every individual in this bad boy right now. Let's go.
Y'all remember this in the church. He just brought it in, right?
That's part to hear, right? Trying to get back to the land. Your hook, Pop. You up, huh?
Tap your neighbor on the shoulder and say, there it is in the house.
Shoulders.
When you said I was ordinary, I wasn't expecting these days.
You want to go hug some people, Samaya?
Everybody at the same time.
Tap your neighbor on the shoulder and say, praise Yahweh. Alright? Much love, my brother. Much love.
Two at the same time. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shalom.
All right. Shalom.
You see the positive energy though, right?
Shalom.
I give you a
Shalom. You know you're the same twice. I don't really work for me. I like him. You ready to dig that so far?
It's so long. I got one that fits in here. Aww. Titi's baby. All right. Aww.
Do it.
And now the choir will be coming up for the first selection.
I'm going to do a teaching on shofar in a minute, man. So, the reason I did this is because I just really want us to really understand the seriousness of this hour we're living in right now and the importance of us gathering together. We all got different lives. We all do different things in life. And we all seeking after the Most High with all our hearts. Hopefully, we're seeking after Him. We don't seek the things of the world. So, as we partake on the last day of Unleavened Bread, we did Pesach last week, I want to talk about the bread of life. Because we are partaking in Unleavened Bread. That's a physical and a spiritual connection. And we're going to talk about that. Because these are the things that increase our faith in the Most High. Because there are many false doctrines in the world. So for us to maintain our salvation, obviously it's not us that's doing it. It's the work of the Most High in all of us. Because I don't think 1 minute it's you that's making your butt come up in this bad boy, keep these days. This is weird to the world. But it's truly by the grace of the Most High. And when you have that mindset, you walk in humility. So I want to start off in the book of John chapter 6. We eat unleavened bread, but who is the true bread of life? We're going to talk about that today. And we know who that is. This teaching is just a reminder. That's all it is. To remind us what we're dealing with in this hour. And who is our true bread of life. It's the physical bread we eat doing unleavened bread, but we're talking about the Most High, and we're talking about the Most High's Son, Yahushua. Alright? So John chapter 6, verses 3 to 14. Now,
the book of Yachanan, chapter 6 and verse 3. And Yahushua went up into the mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. And the Passover, a feast of the Israelites, was near. When Yahushua then lifted up his eyes and saw a great company come unto him, he says unto Philip, whence shall we buy bread, that these may eat?
So we see this was during the feast of unleavened bread when this was going on. Let's keep going now.
And he said, and this he said to prove him, for he himself knew what he would do. Philip answered him, 200 pennyworth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may take a little.
Yep.
One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon, Kepha's brother, says to him, there is a lad here which has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes. But what are they among so many?
Not enough food for the people. Wasn't enough food. We know the story. Let's keep going on.
And Yahushua said, make the men sit down. Now there was much grass in the place. So the men sat down in number about 5,000. And Yahushua took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed to the disciples, and the disciples to them that were set down, and likewise of the fishes as much as they would. When they were filled, he said to his disciples, gather up the fragments that remain, that nothing be lost. Therefore they gathered them together and filled themselves, and filled 12 baskets with the fragments of the 5 barley loaves, which remained over and above unto them that had eaten. Then those men, when they had seen the miracle that Yahushua did, said, this is of a truth that prophet that should come into the world.
We can stop right there. So it's very interesting that the Mashiach decided to do this during unleavened bread. Why would he choose that time to do something like that? We know unleavened bread is talking about bread, eating up and leaving the leaven out of it. No yeast in the bread. But he decided to give free food to these people that's hungry. Multitudes and multitudes of bread to feed them. Because he's trying to show them who is the one feeding you the food. Even the food we eat today. It's the Most High giving us this food, but it's the Most High's Son that feeds us to want us to even want to keep something like this. It's the bread of life in him he gave us. And we keep eating it because we're hungry for it. And we don't lose that. See, unleavened bread isn't just about us eating. It's about us remember why we're doing it. We know about the part, remember we come out the land of Egypt, the Father did for us. Hallelujah. And we always remember that. Because he's going to do the same thing again, according to the scripture. It's going to be even bigger this time. But we think about also, the reason we're doing this is because the Mashiach is the bread of life. And you see, this is a big problem among our people as it is this day. Because some don't accept that this man is the bread of life. Okay, so we're going to go now to the book of John chapter, we're going to stay in 6. Now you're going to go to verses 31 and 51. Huh? Hallelujah.
Verse 31.
This is the Mashiach explaining to them who he is. Spiritually speaking. Go ahead.
Our fathers did eat manna in the desert, as it is written, he gave them bread from Shamaim to eat. Then Yahushua said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, Mashah gave you not that bread from Shamaim.
Stop for a second. Moses did not give the bread. As much as we love to talk about Moses, he didn't give the bread though. Who gave the bread? Go ahead.
But my Father giveth you the true bread from Shamayim.
Okay.
For the bread of the Most High is he which comes down from heaven and gives life unto the world.
Okay.
Then said they unto him, Master, evermore give us this bread. And Yahushua said to them, I am the bread of life.
Okay.
He that comes to me shall never hunger, and he that believes on me shall never thirst.
It's funny how you say he's the bread of life. When we think of unleavened bread, he made us free from sin. He cleansed us. You know, we're free from sin because of him, and he's the bread of life. The Father is perfect when he puts these things together. Keep going, huh?
Verse 36. But I said to you that you also have seen me and believe not. All that the Father gives me shall come to me, and he that comes to me I will in no wise cast out.
Okay.
For I came down from Shamayim, not to do mine own will, but the will of him that sent me.
All right, skip to verse 41, huh?
Verse 41.
Okay.
The Israelites then murmured at him because he had said, I am the bread which comes down from Shamayim.
Yep.
And they said, Is not this Yahushua, the son of Yahuseph, whose father and mother we know? How is it then that he says, I come down from Shamayim?
Okay.
Yahushua therefore answered and said to them, Murmur not among yourselves. No man can come to me except the Father which has sent me draw him.
Stop. The Father drew all of you. Don't ever forget that, people. Keep going.
And I will raise him up at the last day.
That's the promise. Keep going.
It is written in the prophets, and they shall be taught of Yahweh. Every man therefore that heard and has learned of the Father comes to me.
Yep.
Not that any man has seen the Father, except he which is of the Most High.
Okay.
He has seen the Father. Truly, truly, I say to you, he that believes on me has everlasting life.
All right, you can stop right there. All right, so as you can see, the Most High is trying to give his son a message for us. He is the bread of life. We're partaking in unleavened bread because of him and because of the land of Egypt, coming out the land of Egypt. That's a very important connection, because think about it. When the Most High come back the second time through his son, now he's coming to kill. So the Most High brought us out of Egypt, and he also is doing the same thing at this time with his son. So it's very important that we always understand this. And if you ever hear a person tell you, because this is very important to me, because I came from a congregation in Chicago that we always, every feast day, the elders always said, throw a tie in with the Mashiach all the time. Trust me, it's like, because a lot of times Akeem lose their faith, sisters lose their faith if he's not being talked about, you know. So I always throw him in there. So we don't think we just doing this on our own, you know. It's by His grace of the Most High through His Son that we're able to do these things. It's just a reminder. It's nothing new, but a reminder to keep our minds and our hearts in the right place. All right, go to 2 Colossians. 2 Colossians chapter 16. And there's a reason why I was taught by my elders to do this, and I'm going to show you the reason why. Yep. 2 Colossians chapter 2, verse...
You got an extra Colossians?
That's what I'm saying. I'm tripping. Oh yeah, Colossians chapter 2. Oh, that's my side book, right? Alright, Colossians chapter 2.
I heard that, man.
Whatever. 16. Yeah, 16. Read 16 and 17. Right? You get where I'm going at. Okay.
The boys in Chicago got some extra books we don't know about, bro. Understand that.
We got the secrets of the Most
High. 2 Colossians chapter 2, verse 16. Don't mess with me.
I got something for you, man.
Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink, or in respect of a holy day, or of the new moon, or of the Shabbat days, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Hamashiach.
So I'm going to focus on one part of the scripture. It says, let no man judge you in food or drink, but the 17 is the one I want to focus on, which are a shadow of things to come. See, all these things that we're doing is a shadow, and it testifies of the Mashiach. And I'm going to show you that in Revelation chapter 19, verse 10. It says it in there as well. John the prophet, you hope John the prophet.
That was 16, excuse me, that was 16 what?
2 and 16.
2 and 16, 17. So,
Oh, okay.
yep. Revelation 19 and 10.
The book of Revelations, chapter 19 and verse 10.
Okay.
And I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said to me, see, you do it not. I am your fellow servant, and of your brethren that have the testimony of Yahushua. Worship Yahweh, for the testimony of Yahweh is the spirit of prophecy.
See, the testimony of Mashiach is the spirit of all prophecy. See, everything reading this book, even our captivity testifies of him. You know, because he became a curse for us. That's another subject. But everything, so these feast days, and Shofar touched on it last week as well. These things testify of the Messiah. The man, our king, that's going to come destroy the wicked for us and for the righteous. This is the man we look to, you know, because he's coming back soon. I know we got, you know, certain brothers got certain predictions we just assume, but hopefully y'all willing as soon as we think. I'm hoping the next 3 years. That's Yahweh. That's just what I hope for. You know, I don't know the real answer. Okay, so I just want to show you right there that remember what we're doing is a testimony of the Mashiach. Don't lose that, people, because once you lose that, you lose everything. All right. So now I want to go to Exodus 12:11. I want to focus on a few connections. We talked about it earlier. Okay, so the Messiah is the bread. What also do we partake in when we for the first day, you know, and the last day? The bitter herbs. Okay, it's bitter. Okay, think about it, and I'm gonna show you the connection in Exodus chapter 12:11. Think about those two things: bread and bitter herbs. All right, let me run that real quick. Exodus 12:11. Go ahead.
Book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 11. And thus shall you eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And you shall eat it in haste. It is Yahweh's Passover.
Actually, go up to verse 8 too. I should start there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Drop back up to verse 8. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, and unleavened bread, with bitter herbs. They shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast with fire, his head with his legs, and with the purtenance thereof.
Okay, you can stop right there. So think about this, people. We're partaking in bitter herbs and bread. When you think about what the Mashiach went through, the agony he had when he had to pray unto the Father and tell the Father, okay, Father, I'm about to do your mission. He was in bitterness. He was in agony. It so happens that we're eating bitter herbs. And then when you read verse 11, it says, in haste. Everything was fast. The Father knew he had to deliver our people. And Jeremiah 31 talks about the new covenant. He had to deliver our people from the bondage of sin. And Daniel 7 talks about it as well. Okay, so in haste, he delivered us out the land of Egypt. And in haste, he had to bring us the everlasting righteousness that we're going to have when the Mashiach comes back. And it's crazy how we got to eat bitter herbs as a signal of what's going to... Because think about it. The Mashiach was in bitterness. They gave him that bitter wine too. You remember when he was on the tree? So all these things connect to why we do what we do. Don't lose this, people. Because like I said, I've seen people lose it. And when they lose it, they fade. Now I'm almost done wrapping this thing up. We're going to go to Hebrews chapter 1 now. Hebrews chapter 1, got a few more precepts. I'm going to read verses 1 and 3.
So what was it?
Hebrews chapter 1, yep.
Call me, tell me to wake up. Wake up.
Son.
He read verses 1 and 3 from you.
1 and 3.
Yeah, can.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 1 and verse 1. The Most High, who at sundry times and in various manners spoke in time past unto the fathers by the prophets, has in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he has appointed heir of all things, by whom he made the worlds, who being the brightness of his esteem, and express image of his person, and upholding all things by the word of his power, when he had by himself purged our sins, sat down on the right hand of the majesty on high.
So you see, in past time, people, we did things. We didn't have the Mashiach in our lives at the time, so with certain knowledge we had, we were limited. But when the Mashiach came, he gave us all knowledge through belief in his name. So the revelations we have about these high holy days now, in times past we didn't have it yet because the promise was not there yet. But now we have that promise. This is the gift for the children of Israel. You know, the Father says the secret things belong to the children of Israel. These are the secrets that he's given us. You know, brothers say they got secrets when they read other books. No, this is the mystery and the secret. To know that his Son came. And this whole book testifies on everything we do. His life is in us, and we're resembling him. That's the mystery that the children of Israel have. And nations also want to cling to the knowledge as well, have that same mystery as well too. I want to close it out in Deuteronomy chapter 30, read verses 1 to 6. Deuteronomy 30, 1 to 6. Actually, we might close it out there. If something comes to my mind, then we might go somewhere else too. Yes. Because at the end of the day, everything we're talking about, the conclusion is this. Please understand, people. This is a serious hour we're living in. Beyond my trying to sound serious with my voice, I'm talking about for real, for real. It's a serious hour we're living in. Evil is out there coming against us. It's trying to take us away, people. And we got to stand firm in His word to the end. Go ahead and read that from God.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon you, the blessing and the curse which I have set before you, and you shall call them to mind among all the nations, whether Yahweh your power has driven you, and shall return unto Yahweh your power, and shall obey his voice, according to all that I command you this day, you and your children, with all your heart and with all your soul. That then Yahweh your Elohim will turn your captivity and have compassion upon you, and will return and gather you from all the nations, whether Yahweh your power has scattered you. If any of you be driven out unto the outmost parts of Shamayim, from there will the Most High gather you, and from there he will bring you. And Yahweh your power will bring you into the land which your fathers possessed, and you shall possess it. And he will do you good and multiply you above your fathers.
Verse 6, you can stop.
And Yahweh your power will circumcise your heart and the heart of your seed to love Yahweh your power with all your heart and with all your soul, that you may live.
The question of the hour, people. Circumcise your heart. Zechariah 14 tells us he's going to make us like pure gold. Okay? Isaiah. Now we ain't going to go there right now. So let's focus on this one topic right here. Making our heart, circumcising our hearts, people. It's so easy to read this and say, oh yeah. We got to understand what this really means. It's not about us. What did Yehochanan say? He has to increase and I must decrease. We got to get back to our roles on the Most High. Everything, from the man and the woman. We got to understand this is serious. Here's a good example. I was talking to another brother about this before, and this is just stuff I'm coming out of my heart and saying. There's no type of reason why I'm saying it. It's just something to feed us. A man's world and a woman's world when it comes to the word of Most High is very different in regards to it. We both have to believe, but we have different things we do. And we have to take our role serious because we live in a society where everything is the opposite of what we're reading. The very things we're reading is the exact opposite. And we must understand that these things come against us so we can walk contrary to the Most High law. If we are sitting in this room right now with any type of sin in our heart, any type of hidden sins, it's exposed. Even though it's in your heart, nobody know about it. So just keep in mind, if you have any ill will against your brothers. My last elders I used to learn under, they used to always say doing Pesach, Unleavened Bread. Even though I kind of like it all the time, but I agree with it. If there was any ill will with a brother or sister, anybody, this was the time to really kind of try to get rid of it. Try to at least, because you don't know when a Mashiach is coming back, people. We don't understand that. And we have to make sure our hearts is right, people. That's the most important thing I'm saying is our hearts. Forget about the outward appearance. That all comes with it. But our hearts. Is our heart really seeking the Most High? Are we attempting to pray like we're supposed to? Are we doing all these things that the Scripture tells us? Or do we just have knowledge? So as we partake in these feast days and rejoice and give all praises to the Most High with all our heart and our mind and our soul, these are things we must remember, people. Because like I say, I tell my wife, I tell myself this all the time. I tell people this. I got one life. Only one. That's it. And if I slip up and do things contrary to what I'm supposed to and I have a chance to repent, it's over for me. We got one life. We take it a day at a time. But seek the Most High, people. Because this promise is for us. Even if it's been a long time, it's still for us. It's going to probably take a little longer. But this promise is for us, man. And we got to take heed to it. So I just wanted to give a little short message on that. All praise go to the Most High through His Son. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All praise to the Most High for that. I got a couple precepts to go along with that. Like you said, we are definitely in the final hour. Everybody realize that, right? Okay. So building up our faith in the Mashiach Yahushua and all honor to the Most High Yahweh is very, very important in these last days. To be honest, unleavened bread, Passover is dual when it comes to we supposed to be rejoicing, but at the same time you should also be mourning and realizing, you know, what type of situation we are living in as a people. And a lot of times during our everyday lives, you lose focus of that. The fact that you are in captivity. All right, this y'all land? Do y'all belong in America?
No.
Do you belong in Detroit, Michigan?
No.
Absolutely not. We belong all the way back in the East. You talking about thousands of miles away. You know what I'm saying? Is English your tongue?
No.
Huh?
No.
Is polo shirts and jerseys and what these women wear? What kind of style?
Yeah, my mom wears jerseys.
I mean, whatever. Why you put mom dudes on blast like that, man? Don't do moms like that. But again, you know, Gucci, Fendi, all that madness, this is not our culture, right? It's not, it doesn't belong to us. This is something we have learned in captivity, but we have become comfortable with that. All right, and that's something that we got to realize. We got to shake that, you know what I'm saying, and be looking forward to what the Most High has for us. But I wanted to, just 3 precepts, right? I want to touch 2nd Ezra, the 1st chapter. This was a charge that was put to us. If y'all will, turn to 2nd Ezra chapter 1. All right, we're going to pick it up at verse 4. All right, this was a charge that the Most High laid before us. All right, this is a sad thing for the nation of Yasha Allah, man. I'm just keep it real. When I look at our people, all right, just for example, right, y'all know the situation I had in regards to the plaza I work at as far as security, right? Y'all familiar, y'all seen all that madness on Facebook, right? Right? Just looking at the reactions of our people where you have an enemy that owns that building. He calls the brother a nigga. The brother comes up there, deep, all right, ready for it, right? So do you know the majority of how our people looked at that? Who do y'all think that they looked at in the wrong?
Us.
Mom Dukes, who you think they looked at?
Us.
I'm confused because you said deep. What do you mean?
Miles, I thought you used to be about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm starting to question that. When you come, I'm messing with you. No, if I come deep, that means that I got a lot of brothers with me.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, when the brother was called, when the owner of that building called that brother a nigga, he came back the next day with quite a few brothers.
Okay, got it.
Okay. All right. But the end result of that, right? I gotta come to work every day and hear tenants, fellow security guards, you know what I'm saying, really speak against our brothers for what to be being willing to stand up and say, hey man, that wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? It was like, never mind what this captain said and what have you, how he views you. They want to look at one another. You know what I'm saying? And it just really, it hurts me and make me realize, like, Yasha Allah as a whole, like the scripture in Isaiah the 1st chapter says, we sick from head to toe. You quicker to look at your own brother, your own sister and say, ah, man, you off, or what have you, in disdain instead of your own enemies. You know what I'm saying? We've been rocked to sleep is the point. You understand what I'm saying? So I wanted to visit this that 2nd Ezra, the 1st chapter, to see just how the Most High felt about us when we came up out of Egypt and all the hurt and pain that we have given and are giving the Most High on a daily basis when we don't truly turn our hearts back to Him. Ba'Shem HaMashiach Yahushua. All right. So 2nd Ezra chapter 1, we'll start at the 4th verse. Just let these words sink in. Listen to what the Most High was telling us as a people. And it's saying to us today as a people. All right. Pick that up.
And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, go thy way, and show my people their sinful deeds, and their children their wickedness, which they have done against me.
You see that? So what our forefathers did back in the day and what our people is doing today is against the Most High, and it hurts Him. We are His bride, right? So we are compared to being a whorish woman. You know what I'm saying? And all men in here, you understand how it is when you have a woman you love and she's out messing around with somebody else. That's a hurtful thing. And this is what we're doing to the Most High. Read on.
That they may tell their children's children.
You see that? So this is for you youngins. Y'all listen to this. This is the Most High speaking to you. You're the future generation. So Cody, wake up. All right? Wake up. Brother, you can't be caught sleeping. All right? Read on.
Because the sins of their fathers are increased in them.
You see that? It said the sins of our fathers have increased in us. So you know our forefathers were super wicked and got us kicked out the land. But it said that what happened?
Because the sins of their fathers are increased in them.
You see that? It's various scripture. You go, the scripture say if Abraham was to walk amongst us today, he wouldn't even know y'all. You know why? Man. He would walk up and see a brown-skinned, woolly-haired people like himself, but he'll look at our actions and be like, no, wait, is these my children? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. No way. Because the majority of us don't care to keep the commandments. We don't care to truly love the Most High from the heart. Okay. So it said our sins is multiplied above our forefathers. That's why 66% of our people are going to be put to death. That's a sad thing, right? Read on.
For they have forgotten me and have offered unto strange gods.
You see that? It said that we have forgotten the Most High. Y'all, you starting to see the Most High's emotion. He feels like he's forgotten about. You know what I'm saying? That's a sad thing. Really think about that. Man. Read on.
Am not I even he that brought them out of the land of Egypt?
Read.
From the house of bondage. But they have provoked me unto wrath and despised my counsels. Pull thou off then the hair of thy head and cast all evil upon them. For they have not been obedient to my law.
You see that? Our people refuse to be obedient to his law. But we refuse that. And then you get caught in captivity and then you run to the church and they tell you what? Oh, you ain't got to keep the law nailed to the cross. Okay. But the reason why we able to get trapped in that type of snare is because our forefathers turned their backs on keeping the Most High's commandments. Okay. That starts with us. You can't even look at the so-called white man. You can't look at him first and say, well, it's his fault. It really starts with us. All you're doing is just carrying on the evil. Okay. Right? Read on.
But it is a rebellious people. How long shall I forbear them?
You see that? He said, we rebellious. How long shall I forbear them? Basically, in other words, how long shall I keep dealing with these folks? Man. Right? Read on.
Until whom I have done so much good.
He's done what?
So much good.
On an individual level, everybody in here can look in our lives and realize how much good the Most High has done for us. Con? I know I can. I would have made it to 35 years old if it wasn't for the Most High. Okay. You understand that? Okay. And I know y'all feel the same way. But as a nation, look at what the Most High has done for us as a nation. Okay. But we turn our backs on him. Okay. That's sad. Read on.
Many kings have I destroyed for their sakes. Pharaoh with his servants.
You see that? At the time that Egypt fell, they was the leading superpower. They was sitting in the seat of America today. Understand that all the riches, all the resources, everything was under Egyptian control. And the Most High went into Egypt and tore that place up all for us. Just like he gonna do in this modern day Egypt. Alright? Think about that. Read on.
Pharaoh with his servants and all his power I have smitten down. All the nations have I destroyed before them. And in the east I have scattered the people of 2 provinces, even Tyrus and Sidon, and I have slain all their enemies. Verse 12. Speak thou therefore unto them, saying, Thus say Yahweh. Verse 13. I led you through the sea. In the beginning I gave you a large and safe passage. I gave you Moses for a leader, and Aaron for a priest. Verse 14. I gave you a light in the pillar of fire, and great wonders have I done among you. Yet have you forgotten me, saith Yahweh.
You see that? And again, that's a big, when you really think about that. Y'all, anybody in here know what it is, how it feels to be forgotten? You love somebody and then they ain't paying you no more attention anymore. They out doing something else with somebody else. Y'all know that feeling, right? Imagine how the Most High feels about that. We're dealing with a whole nation. A multitude of people. Imagine that. And imagine the pain that he goes through every day, even to this very day. Think about that. Let that resonate within your spirit. Read on.
Verse 15. Thus says Almighty Yahweh, the quails were as a token for you. I gave you tents for your safeguard. Nevertheless, ye murmured there.
You see, and you know our people gonna do that again today. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get up out of America. We're gonna be doing the same thing. I want to go to Coney Island. I'm tired of eating this matter. You know what I'm saying? That we're gonna be doing the same thing. That's real. But the Most High cared about us even back then. He said, okay, y'all want some meat? I'm gonna bring you quail in abundance. You thirsty? I'm gonna give you water out of the rock. He cared about us, you know what I'm saying? But our people, we some bougie folks, straight up. Straight up. Man, it's something else. Read on.
Verse 16. And trumpet not in my name for destruction of your enemies.
And did what?
And trump not in my name for the destruction of your enemies.
You see that? And that's something that we got to get back to. Triumphant in the Most High's name. Understanding the fact that you know the Most High's name and can call on that in power. That's a beautiful thing. Like actually, Shaul and Mariah, they put that on display when they got arrested. Con? What y'all telling them devils? Y'all, what y'all telling them?
I'll show my shit, y'all shot, strike you down.
Strike you down, you know what I'm saying? But that's the type of, you know what I'm saying, zeal we got to have. How many of y'all willing to do that? Getting arrested and then turn around telling me, how about Shimon Mashiach, y'all shot, strike you down? For them to look at you like, what? Yeah, they say them demons on them brothers got the trembling, right? Yeah. They got to acting up. But we got to get back to triumphant in the Most High's name. That's where our power lies. That's why Yahweh Shai, understanding of Mashiach, man, being the name of the Most High, that's so important. Very important. Read on.
But ever to this day, do you yet murmur?
We do what?
Murmur.
Even to this very hour, 2000 so-called 16, we are murmuring folks. You don't be satisfied with what the Most High do for you. And that's a sad thing. That's something to really think about.
Okay.
Read on.
Verse 17. Where are the benefits that I have done for you? When you were hungry and thirsty in the wilderness, did you not cry unto me? Verse 18, saying, why hast thou brought us into this wilderness to kill us? It had been better for us to have served the Egyptians than to die in this wilderness.
You see that? Now this is one thing y'all really got to think about, because when this place gets ready to get smoked out, all right, we got to get up out of here, all right? I trust, I pray, all right, that none of us starts to develop this ancient attitude of our forefathers. When you get into that wilderness and you no longer can take a hot shower, okay, or run to Walmart and buy a steak, all right, and now you got to straight up rely on the Most High for all your food, do not start murmuring. Because personally, I'm going to step away from you, all right? I ain't going to stand there around you, because you might mess around and get the ground opened up on you, all right? We gotta understand that. When we get up out of here, the Most High takes us through that wilderness for that 3.5 years. Be patient, be humble, and just know that the Most High had enough mercy to get you out of this place of captivity and bring you there. Because a lot of our people's gonna die in this place. Gun? So, So trust me, do not get into that state of murmuring. Because when they did that in ancient times, the Most High struck a lot of people down.
Sure did.
All right? So understand, you make it to that wilderness, you're almost there. You're almost home free. All right?
Okay.
Read on.
Verse 19. Then had I pity upon your mourning, and gave you manna to eat. So you did eat angel's bread.
You see that? We ate angel's bread. We ate the bread that Mikael and Uriel feast on. You see what I'm saying? But our people weren't happy with that. So again, we make it out of this place, and you make it to the wilderness, be happy with whatever the Most High provides for you. He said you're going to eat, his servants will eat, his servants will drink. He promised us that. All right? Read on.
Verse 20. When ye were thirsty, did I not cleave the rock and waters flow out to your field? For the heat I cover you with the leaves of the trees. Verse 21. I divided among you a fruitful land, and I cast out the Canaanites, the Pherizzites, the Philistines before you. What shall I yet do more for you?
You see that? So the Most High, you say who?
Yahweh.
You see that? The Most High, like, what more can I do for you? And toe down kings. I done took you out of superpower. I done laid you out. I'm giving you the best land on the face of the earth. I done made you the strongest, most beautiful people on the face of the earth. What more can I do for you? You see what I'm saying? Huh?
So he gave us the best tasting bread.
Yeah, you got the best tasting bread. I mean, you know.
Angel's bread we talking about.
Right.
I know that's the best bread in the world.
The best Mikael and them, they ain't sitting up there complaining about it. They enjoying it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But look what our people do. You know what I'm saying? And then, again, that's something to really think about, because if we make it out of this land of captivity, you go into the wilderness again. All right, and he's going to plead with us. All right, and a lot of our, like the scriptures say in Ezekiel, a lot of our people is just going to straight up die. That's just all to it. Because our people is hard-hearted and stiff-necked. We refuse to rejoice in the Most High like we're supposed to. Read on.
Verse 22. Thus saith Almighty Yahweh, when you were in the wilderness, in the river of the Amorites, being athirst and blaspheming my name. Verse 23. I gave you not fire for your blasphemies, but cast a tree in the water and made the river sweet. Verse 24. What shall I do unto thee, O Jacob?
You see that? He like most out like, what shall I do to you, O Jacob? Like I didn't hook you up, but you're still not happy. What more can I do for you, right? Read on.
What shall I do unto thee, O Jacob, thou Judah, wouldst not obey me? I will turn me to other nations.
You see that? So now the most out like I'm gonna turn to these other nations, these darn Gentiles, and I'm gonna bring them in, right? Because I remember we made that covenant. And he said, look, now if you provoke me with them false gods, I'm going to bring them foolish nations in there. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's going on now today. So a lot of our brothers be on them corners cussing them white folks out, can't stand them. But the fact of the matter is, the reason why they being able, one of the reasons they being able to be brought in is because of our disobedience. Right. You see, y'all understand that, right?
Right.
Read on.
And unto those I will give my name, that they may keep my statutes.
Read.
Verse 25. Seeing you have forsaken me, I will forsake you also.
You see that? So Moses said, seeing you have forsaken me, I will forsake you also. That's a sad thing, that the Most High has to feel forsaken of a nation that he loves so dearly. So I just wanted to touch that, man, to give you something to think about. You know what I'm saying? Like, your everyday walk is very important to the Most High, whether you love him or violate. You know what I'm saying? That you keep his commandments, you make his heart happy. You violate and turn your back on him, you actually hurting the Most High. He's not sitting up there as some tyrant like, you know what I'm saying, you know, the Wizard of Oz or some old madness. He has feelings, okay? So let's show the Most High some love that he deserves. Con? Because he's worthy of that, right?
Yeah.
He's worthy to be loved. He's worthy to be respected. And the only way we can give him that true love and respect is by keeping his commandments and finally being that light that he has designed us to be. Con? Let's close it out. Now we're going to close this out with the prayer of Manasseh. So in your apocryphal, turn to page 113. All right. We're going to close this out with the prayer of Manasseh. Just listen to this prayer that one of our kings put forth being in captivity, being in Babylon. This should be the prayer that all of us should have in our hearts and our minds. Because we got to come up out this Babylon. This place is soon to be destroyed, like it or not. As the food you say, ready or not. You know what I'm saying? Right. He's coming. All right. He's coming to bring that wrath. All right. So let's deal with this prayer. Then we're gonna close it out with how to properly remember the Mashiach Yahweh. All right. Okay. Read that.
O Yahweh, Almighty Elohim of our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and the righteous seed, who has made heaven and earth with all the ointment thereof, who has bound the sea by the word of thy commandment, who has shut up the deep and sealed it by the terrible and glorious name, whom all men fear and tremble before their power. For the majesty of thy glory cannot be borne, and thy angry threatening towards sinners is abhorrible. But thy merciful promise is unmeasurable and unsearchable. For thou art not the Most High Yahweh of a great compassion, long-suffering, very merciful, and repentance of the evils of man. Thou, O Yahweh, according to thy great goodness, hast promised repentance and forgiveness to them that have sinned against thee, and of thy infinite mercies that has appointed repentance unto sinners, that they may be saved. Thou, therefore, O Yahweh, thou art Elohim of the just, has not appointed repentance to the just after Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, which had not sinned against thee, but thou hast appointed repentance unto me, that I am a sinner, for I have sinned above the number of the sand of the sea.
You see that? And all of us have done that for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Some more than others. You know what I'm saying? But have that. Take these words into your heart. We got to, the Most High said, what did he require of you but to walk before him humbly and justly. Okay. So let these words sink into your hearts and take this into your mind as well. Okay. Read on.
My transgressions, O Yahweh, are multiplied. My transgressions are multiplied, and I am not worthy to behold and see the height of heaven for the multitude of mine iniquities. I am bowed down with my iron bands, that I cannot lift up my head. neither have any release, for I have provoked thy wrath, and done evil before thee. I did not thy will, neither kept I thy commandments. I have set up abominations, I have multiplied offenses. Now therefore I bow the knee of my heart. Read that again. Now therefore I bow the knee of my heart, beseeching thee of grace. I have sinned, O Yahweh. I have sinned, and I acknowledge my iniquities. Wherefore I humbly beseech thee, forgive me, O Yahweh, forgive me, and destroy me not with my iniquities. Be not angry with me forever by reserving evil for me. Neither condemn me into the lower parts of the earth. For thou art Elohim, even the Elohim of them that repent. And in me thou wilt show all thy goodness. For thou wilt save me that am unworthy, according to thy great mercy. Therefore I will praise thee forever, all the days of my life. For all the power of the heavens do praise thee, and thine is the glory forever and ever.
Hallelujah. You know what I'm saying? Hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Yeah, that's deep. That like the brother was just saying, that bow the when he said the knee of his heart. You know what I'm saying? That's a very deep thing, man. That really means to be humble before the Most High and recognize that, you know, again, we all was wicked as all outdoors. I don't care if, you know, you might have went to, you know, college and, you know, got a good job and all that other madness, you know what I'm saying? Other than, you know, you might not have been in the streets or doing none of that. But you still was evil before the Most High. You was not keeping his laws and commandments as he has deemed fit. And the Most High has had a lot of mercy on all of us, you know what I'm saying? So that's something, that prayer right there, that's something to really meditate on. That's a mind to have. Come? All right, let's close it out. Let's go to Luke 22. For you sisters, could you please, a couple of y'all grab some of the unleavened bread, and I have some wine. Y'all have anything? Well, here, pass me. This should be a bottle of wine.
Look cool.
So we're going to turn to Luke chapter 22. All right, we're going to pick it up at the 18th verse. As we close out this feast, this is, as a brother was talking about earlier, is very, very important to acknowledge, respect, cherish, and be happy for what the Most High did for us through Hamashiach Yahushua. Because he didn't give up his body and suffer a grievous death for nothing. Alright, that was for us, for the entire nation of Israel, and actually for the entire world. Whomsoever out of the nations will call upon his name. It's a very, very important thing. Alright? So, everybody get you a piece of unleavened bread.
It's the Passover, let it boil over. Fresh shit in Folgers, fringes, borders of blue. It's the Passover, let it boil over. Fresh shit in Folgers, fringes, borders of blue. It's the Passover, let it boil over. Fresh shit in Folgers, fringes, borders of blue. It's the Passover, let it boil over. Fresh shit in Folgers, fringes, borders of blue. Yeah, stepped in with my garment on, ephod around my neck. It's time to send the heathens home. Every holy day we gon' get it on. Dressed to impress with the swag, we don't need a loan. Why? Cause we make our own clothing. Heathens looking in and they